This podcast is brought to you by our Anime Addicts Anonymous community. Your support does make a difference. If you want to help out the podcast, AAApodcast.com/join or Patreon will help us continue on this mission of making your anime addiction worse. So help out the show. We're always here for you. AAApodcast.com/join or Patreon, and we will give you all of that exclusive content just for you. And now, time to start the show.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at AAApodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to episode 704 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. My name is Mason, and we are so back. We are so back from Nashville, back from Anime NYC, and back from the grave. We're all here once again to make your anime addiction worse. I'm joined by my two co-hosts. We have Caroline coming in looking very cozy, the flannel, the blanket. How are we holding up?
I'm doing pretty well. I just came back from Anime NYC a couple hours ago, because it took a little while with the trains and stuff. But I'm a little tired, I have to say, and I'm a little chilly. That's why I got my blanket. Probably gonna look like this for the rest of the episode. But I am ready to talk anime, even more than I have all weekend.
Well, you came to the right place. And also with us, looking very snazzy, holding up all his Dragon Ball merch, we got Mitsugi, the Pope himself.
I'm back. Yeah, Mexico loves Dragon Ball, so they got my coloring book that I bought for like $1.
Have you colored any of it yet?
No, hell no. It only comes with 4 crayons. I can't color. I'm terrible. Are you kidding me?
I color pencils, more crayons, markers, you know.
Listen, I went to Paint Your Own Pottery with Pancake the other night because, you know, she wanted to do something, and I was like, we'll do something artsy because you like it. We ended up picking the simplest, like, clay fucking mold thing that they have because I have the art skills. Look, I might be able to play Chopin, but I can't color in the lines. So it was like, let's just do this Christmas tree. It'll be entirely green. We'll put a little snow on it, paint the star yellow, put a little colored dots for the lights, and we'll be good. And I was like, okay, great. How about that intricate, like, Santa's sleigh over there? Like, no. Anything with minute details is out. Happy to be here, guys. We got a wild show for you today, and I hope you enjoy it. So strap yourself in.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. A throwback episode. Not only are we doing a main topic, converting retro equivalent recommendations to the modern hits, but we will be bringing back an old fan favorite segment. Does Mitsugi's mom know? It's back and better than ever. If you want to join in the game, let us know on the Discord. We'll sign you up. And the Discord, once again, shout out, is the place to be for all the good lore, for all the good memes, and where you can join in all the updates and play games like this, as well as our Twitch, where we stream live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And you can submit comments, and we can see your comments and ignore them, but sometimes we'll respond to them, and it's a fun time. Twitter, TikTok, we have all of them. Check us out. Facebook, reviews, merchandise, you know what to do. AAApodcast.com has links to all of that. And to continue the retro mood, we are doing a throwback review of Red Garden. If you've never heard of that anime, join the club. I'd never heard of it till we signed up to review it, and we'll talk about that later. So thank you all for joining in. One last thing before big topic. What is it, Mitz?
Yeah, so it's a good thing that I have this to talk about because I'm grumpy today. I'm a grumpy Mitz. I found out that
you should probably do a coloring book to relieve that stress.
Look, I found out that Knoxville, Tennessee does not have hot chicken. It's a disaster. It's literally the end of my life. I feel like my life has ended.
I'm ruined.
How can a city 90 minutes from Nashville not have Nashville hot chicken?
Because Nashville has the monopoly on...
What?
On
what?
What?
They can't be trekking on Nashville
Ugh.
territory.
Oh my god. Well, we have it in Denver. Okay. I got a gift in the mail, and I said I would read this on the podcast, and very thankful. So, our dear friend Merbliss from the podcast, who has been a listener for quite a long time, I think, and was kind enough to share with me recently their photos from Japan, because they were in Japan, did some sort of like community farming, sent me a manga of MF Ghost straight from Japan, Volume 1. It's in Japanese, so I'm definitely going to have to brush up on that because that's not going to be for kids. But also wrote a very nice letter. Dear His Highest and Mightiest Pope Mitsugi, during my time in Japan, I stumbled across this Japanese version of... I decided to buy this for you as a gift in hopes of you enjoying it. I do know it's in Japanese, but... I also know you plan to go to Japan soon, so maybe it'll help you brush up on your Japanese. Sincerely, the number one accolade of the Church of Mitsugi. Damn right! Damn right! That's what I'm talking about! You bring the thunder. Just like that, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'll call you in 40 years when I translate this.
Huzzah.
There you go.
Thank you for the gift. We forgive you for being fans of Detroit Lions, which beat my Chicago Bears today, so I'm sad. Moving on, big news of the week.
おー、大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
All right. Well, Akira Toriyama's been a busy boy. Actually, he's not. He wrote this a long time ago, I think. But another. He's old. He's like. He probably is busy, but he's in his 60s. I don't know. How busy can he be? I don't know. My fingers hurt. So that's what he says to his staff. It's like, well, you know what? Now your back's going to hurt because...
Well, now your back's going to hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty, old man.
Anybody else's fingers hurt? So Akira Toriyama's Sandland anime is coming to Hulu. So it's a short story by Toriyama, but they're going to be bringing it to a full-length season, which, I don't know, doesn't bode all that well because how much content will they really have? It picks up from after the events of the anime's film, which I guess it has a film. In the far future, war has destroyed the entire Earth, leaving only a barren wasteland where supply of water is controlled by the greedy king. In search of a long-lost lake, Sheriff Rowell asks the king of the demons for help and got the king's son, Beelzebub, and his assistant, whose name apparently is Thief. Together, the unlikely trio set off across the desert facing dragons, bandits, whatever, and find Android 18 in a bikini. No, just kidding. That's not in here. Anyway, so they will have to also face the King's Army. So this also has a game, so it's on PlayStation 4, 5, Switch, whatever, everything. Actually, I don't think it's on Switch. But, yeah, Sandland's coming. It's got the classic Akira Toriyama art, and the only unfortunate thing is that it's on Hulu. God, getting access to Hulu is just another like $19 a month you have to pay, so it's pretty brutal because it's Disney, but some people probably already have Hulu, so you won't have to worry about that. But do either of you particularly care?
No.
No, I don't know where the movie is even streaming. Like, I know this anime series is coming out to Hulu, but this film, which came out like this summer, I think it's a pretty new-ish film. I don't know if it's come over here to the West yet in a way that I could see it. I mean, I haven't really looked into it that much, but yeah, I mean, if I want Akira Toriyama stuff, I'm just gonna watch Dragon Ball. But I don't know, I'm interested to see his worlds. They're usually fun and wacky and cool. So, but I won't check it out. I'll check out the movie maybe.
The movie, strangely, it came out in August, but has no review online yet. Not on my anime list. But I'm watching the trailer, and it looks quite good. I mean, it's a movie, so it's gonna move well. But man, it definitely looks like better than by far the most. But it definitely has that Akira Toriyama character designs. They, the main character kind of looks like an angry Majin Buu.
Yeah, just not as fat. I mean,
Yeah,
his designs also lend well to the CG vibe that Kamikaze Doga tend to do, and they do a decent job with it. Like, they still make it artsy and whatnot. So, yeah, I would check out the movie. I don't know about the show though. We'll have to see.
I'm tempted to check out the game, but you know what? See, Got to plant all the rice in Sakuna first. So
You have a busy time ahead of you.
speaking
The
of backs
harvest.
hurting, you ever wonder why old ladies in Japan are all bent over? It's because they're planting rice, leaning over for like 300 years. Man, whoever invented the automatic rice picker or planter or whatever is a fucking genius. Because that's anyway. Caroline, what do you got?
Well, I'm on Anime NYC mode at the moment. I just came back from the convention not too long ago today. And it was pretty fun. But we got some news because while Anime NYC has consistently been held in November every year since like 2017, the staff of Anime NYC announced on Thursday that the event will move next year's convention date to August 23rd to the 25th. And with that, the event will be able to take over the full main building of the Javits Center for the first time. So even if you think that Anime NYC is very big and very confusing to go through because they have a lot of different areas, a lot of different rooms, it's gonna get even worse.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
We haven't. I thought we've been in the full building, but apparently we haven't. So it's going to be even bigger next year.
More foul smells than you can shake a stick at.
I don't know. I mean, if it's going to be bigger, that means people will be more spread out. And I guess they will sell more tickets, but...
yes, they will.
Yeah. So according to the staff, the new August date will allow them to offer fans more space to showcase more features and more panel rooms for more screenings, workshops, and special events. And with the change of dates, the ticket sales for next year's Anime NYC will start on December 5th. So you won't really even have time to take a breather because if you want to get your tickets, you're going to start getting them very soon. And that's it for my news. Honestly, I'm actually kind of interested now that like they're going to be putting it in August because my sister likes to have a Friendsgiving the week before Thanksgiving, and I would like to participate in that in the future. So
well, nothing drums up those good smells like hot weather.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know what's better. The cold, which like limits the availability of cosplay and just people wanting to go to New York when it's freezing out, and summer where that steamy sidewalk goodness just cooks the bones and sweat out of our fellow weeaboos and just lets that permeate.
Listen, I'm here to tell you, we need to bring back that guy that used to walk around. Have you ever seen the speed stick guy at anime cons? They walk around with a basket of like mini travel size speed sticks and just hand them out. I'm calling for the resuscitation of that's God's work. Okay, you know what? That is Popely work. Okay, honestly, the speed stick man. Come on, that guy should be standing at the door of the rave.
Someone should go cosplaying the Old Spice guy from those commercials, the super like suave dude, and he should just be toting around a bag of sprayable deodorant.
I did see one guy walking around the con wearing like overalls and a hat and like with a box hung around his neck. It's a box of grass and it says "touch grass." And so he was he just like let everybody touch grass at the convention center. He was pretty funny.
Yeah, and he was making fun of everybody at the con.
Love to see it.
Burns. Sick burns. Mason, what do you got?
I got a little bit of anime-related news, which is that the Great Pretender series is getting a sequel. Season 1 came out in 2020, done by Wit Studio, and it's streamed on Netflix. And the official website for that series unveiled a sequel title that I will mispronounce called Great Pretender Razbluito? I'm not too sure.
You did it.
Razbluito?
Razbluito. The internet says that word that I'm not repeating is Russian-inspired with debates about where exactly it generates from, but it's said to mean the feeling a person has for someone once loved but no longer does. And this will have a 2024... I don't know, my guy. It's more
all your
Great
exes,
Pretender.
you know?
It will be released in 2024, streaming worldwide on Crunchyroll in most countries. And it will be featuring most of the staff from the first anime, including director Hiro Kaburagi. So, what do we think of Great Pretender? Do we want more of it? I know the ending was kind of contentious, but I thought it looked pretty rad, and I just wanted more of it. Like, I think it has potential, and I was kind of let down by season 1, but I would definitely check out season 2.
I feel like Great
I
Pretender.
haven't seen it.
Yeah,
So
it was fine. I feel like if as I recall, it was a little Lupin-like. I think I'd rather just have more Lupin. It's like these overly crafty, like thief type swindlers. Like, you know, I'd rather just have some like Lupin, some new. I don't know, but that's a funny word.
Yeah.
That's like, jeez, rasblioto. It's a word for basically how you feel about someone you break up with. I love you, but now I don't. So fuck
Used
off.
to, but no longer.
I used to.
I've moved
Now we're
on.
divorced. I don't have to love
Just
you
like
anymore.
I feel about
Pretty
Great
good word.
Pretender.
But yeah, I think there was something about The Great Pretender at the con. Actually, I didn't go to it because I haven't seen The Great Pretender. But I think I heard they had like a first look at it or something
so
like that.
Also at Anime NYC, they gave more info about the sequel, and they also said the sequel will be getting a theatrical release, but they haven't revealed how much of the series will be in the theatrical release. So I don't know if this is a full series, if it's just a couple episodes that can be bundled into a movie. They weren't very clear in the reports that I had read, and so I'm just not going to worry about it and wait until next year and see what we get. And we'll go from there. So if you like Great Pretender, you got more coming, whether you like it or not.
All right. More is always better. Well, that's probably not true. All right. Retro equivalents to modern hits, as it was titled on the document. Somebody recommended this. I think it was actually several people. But, you know, we have an old fogey wannabe, and a youngster. A little whippersnapper.
Be prepared for me to not really participate in this topic because I can
tough
try my
topic.
best, but I might just be making the random comment here and there if I can.
I do recall, and I'm not calling anybody out because I don't even remember who submitted, but it's like anime's got about a 70-year history, you know, maybe 60, you know, and we had all those people send in their list of anime. And we made fun of you. And I just seem to recall that, like, most of you basically don't know dick about anime prior to, like, 2005. So, and not calling out anybody individually, but, you know, seeing those lists, you kind of have to go out of your way to, like, find old stuff because it's just not on, like, Crunchyroll. Like, if you go on Crunchyroll and try to watch, like, the original Bubblegum Crisis, it's not on there. So, this is a topic where we are going to propose, and we're going to discuss anime that you like, that you've seen because they're new and recent and they're good, and then we're going to tell you an anime from prior years that you'll probably also like based on that. So you can basically say, you know, if you like this, you'll like this other show, but you have to go back and find it somewhere and watch it. Maybe just like, you know, spread your wings and fly away to an older time when anime was hand drawn. And then you'll buy
Maybe.
some anime.
This was a tough topic, and we might need to rely on the Twitch to give us more suggestions than what we had.
And by the way,
and there's like it's kind of hard to like draw comparisons between something that is modern to something that is retro because you're trying to debate it on like, oh, the kind of theme it has, the kind of characters it has, the humor of it. It's kind of hard because it's very subjective.
And I do want to say that it's not really like, I don't blame people for not having seen stuff prior to 2005 or whatever I said. Who the hell has time? Honestly, I don't even have time to be on this podcast right now. So for me to expect people to go watch like an 8-hour series from like 1997, it's just not going to happen. No one's going to bother with that. You sit down at home, you get drunk, and you watch Netflix, and Netflix doesn't have old shit, so you're not going to watch it. Simple. The first one up is Jujutsu Kaisen, and I just added Demon Slayer because I ain't gonna lie to you. Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, and Chainsaw Man are all the same thing. At the base level, you're all just fighting demons in shonen form. So, I believe this one was added by Mason.
I just was thinking about what are the biggest shows airing modern year, and Jujutsu Kaisen, and like you said, Demon Slayer, and to an extent, Chainsaw Man from last year. Yeah, feel like the same dish. They feel like gyudon, just with different levels of spices put onto it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there is obviously, you know, this is the big shonen entry of the modern day with, you know, superpowers, but it's kind of an edge of scariness, spookiness, and I kind of started to march backwards from most recent retro, which is not that long ago, to more retro, which is also not too long ago for this case. But the first one I had for a retro recommendation is Hunter x Hunter. Whether you go with the 2011 version or the further back version, I felt like Hunter x Hunter was one of the first shonen that had that darker tinge to its fare, while still, power of friendship, the group, superpowers, big epic fights, awesome animation. And I felt like it captured some of the same spirit, at least, when compared to that ilk.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that if you like these shows, the concept is pretty tired at this point. I mean, like, pretty much every other shonen show is about fighting demons. I mean, shit, even Inuyasha is about fighting demons. So, I mean, there is a long, long list of shows that you could just pull out of your ass to just, like, have a never-ending list of things to watch. But of course, Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, which also contain, like, a lot of demons and, those are the creme de la creme, honestly. I mean, I would take Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho over any of these other three shows any day, but there's plenty of other shows that fit in this same vein. So you can always go back and you can find another show that's older that if you've already seen Yu Yu Hakusho, there's going to be plenty of other things that you can tackle. You're never going to run out, because I think this is even like Chrono Crusade. I mean, like, there's so many shows where people just fight demons, but I think that the long format ones are probably better for shonen. So Demon Slayer is kind of short, but these other shows are probably going to go on for a long time. So yeah. And did you mention Trigun? Did you put Trigun in here?
No, I just put Hunter x Hunter
actually
and
put
Yu
that
Yu
down.
Hakusho.
I'm not sure because I have not seen the original Trigun, but it kind of sounded like something that would have been considered, I don't know, kind of like a similar vibe back when it came out compared to now. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I just threw it out there, like, as a possible idea.
Trigun's like, it's similar and it's not similar because a lot of these other shows like Demon Slayer, they're constantly just bouncing from one demon into another, and they just fight this. They'll fight this guy for 3 episodes, and then in the middle of the fight, they'll cram in some flashbacks or some shit to try to give you the story, and then they move on, and maybe something happens in the middle, but then boom, another enemy, and they fight that. And it's the same with like Jujutsu Kaisen. Boom, another enemy. There's a story there, but in the end, or Chainsaw Man. Oh, we're gonna fight this demon, then we're gonna fight the demon in the hotel, then we're gonna fight this other guy. Trigun's the same way, but they're not demons usually. They're just like weird robots or cowboys or whatever.
I think the biggest reason Trigun doesn't work is that it's just Vash. And yeah, he does have some compatriots, but it's not the same group of 3 or 4. The crew, Yu Yu Hakusho has the people who enter the tournament as a team. You have Hunter x Hunter who kind of collects their folks for the different stages and different arcs that the other ones have. Trigun's mostly just centered around Vash. And I don't know, the Western element to it is intriguing, but it just sets it apart in a way that it's not quite the same. And it's more Monster of the Week, which I guess the other ones are too.
Yeah,
but it feels different when you can watch a long-running shonen, but you're up to date on it week to week instead of looking at Hunter x Hunter and be like, oh, there's 100-something episodes. Oh, like it's intimidating in a way. But it's also super easy to marathon and a bunch of fun. So.
Yeah.
Although we had a comment in the chat saying that Trigun isn't retro enough. Trigun is 25 years old. It's almost as old as I am. It's pretty retro.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when we have a bunch of other stuff on this that even I was like, I'm not sure if this is retro or not, but we're kind of splitting hairs here.
It's not super retro, but I mean, yeah. If you're not like an old ass person like me, I'm gonna throw out a hot take just as I feel like it, because I'm not gonna get my hot chicken, so I might as well throw out a hot. I'm gonna literally have to make my own hot chicken. This is some fucking bullshit. Not to get on that tangent. I could go on forever. Oh man.
Listen to the Hobby Addicts.
I am literally like that scene in GTO where Onizuka is crying because the girl just poured like $150 of sushi into the trash can, and he's just like rambling on and on about like all these fine details about sushi and how the black tuna caught off the shores of Hokkaido is less strainy and more suitable for sushi than other kinds. I literally feel that way about hot chicken. I can just go into it. But I'm going to make a hot take and say I like Inuyasha better than Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer or Chainsaw Man. How you feel about that? I would rather watch Inuyasha over any of those 3 shows.
Inuyasha, to me, as a person who did not grow up with it, without nostalgia goggles, is so grating and irritating. And I get the love for Shishomaru and Kagome, and just growing up, I get that. It changes a person when you have that embedded into your DNA and being like, oh, this is good anime. I can't do it. I cannot watch that show and be like,
as
yeah, I'm enjoying
someone who has
myself.
not seen the original Inuyasha, but from what I know about Inuyasha, I don't think I would like Inuyasha. And as somebody who's only watched
It's a shoujo.
Yasha Hime, the sequel.
No, that's
terrible.
It's not a,
And I know it's worse than the original, but I still don't think I could get around watching Kagome yell at Inuyasha every episode for being a dumbass.
See the difference, and we'll move on, but the difference between Inuyasha and these other shows is that Inuyasha has likable characters, and most of the characters from Chainsaw Man are like a bunch of insufferable assholes, and I feel the exact same way about like Jujutsu Kaisen. They're all like,
no, I don't think.
Oh, they are all ready to just backstab you and kill you.
No, Chainsaw Man does have a bunch of unlikable characters, but I think that's it's a conscious choice. Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't think has that many assholes, to be honest. They're fairly likable.
I mean, it's just 90s. It's 90s era comedy of repeated jokes, and I feel like visually it brings nothing to the table.
Demon Slayer brings nothing to the table. It's literally just pretty animation and just, frankly, just flashy fight scenes with almost no story.
At least it has that.
I'm just telling you, that's not that people will get mad, but that's the truth. Anyway, we can move on.
I feel like we're getting off topic here.
No, that's the point of this topic.
Yeah,
what's next?
Sometimes the point of the podcasting is just to ramble and talk.
Exactly.
Sure.
This is just a framework for us to complain about Inuyasha. I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen.
The problem with Inuyasha is that it's Rumiko Takahashi and it's too long. It would have been better at like 50 episodes, but it had to go on for like 200 episodes because that lady doesn't know how to write. She just writes to make millions of volumes. Kaguya-sama Love is War is the next one, which, yeah, I'd like to go to war on this anime.
Yeah, so obviously this was my next pick for the big kind of romance one of modern days. Obviously it's been going on for a couple seasons, but yeah, there's a lot to choose from. Nothing quite like it. The one that first jumped to mind was His and Her Circumstance from 1998. Tells a pretty solid relationship story of kind of similar roles. You have the female lead who's like head of her class, the super elite goddess who aces everything, but kind of has this like combative sort of initial relationship with the male lead. And obviously, as with Kaguya, they start to fall for each other, but it's a lot more, I'm not going to say realistic, but less couched in how can we make a joke out of every scene. And it's pretty touching, and it's pretty good.
Oh, man, I don't like Kaguya-sama Love is War.
Yeah, we all know this, Mitsugi. It's not a surprise.
It's not as good as Eurocamp. We get it. But what would you recommend for a retro?
Well, I added Azumanga Daioh to this list because it was down there on another anime, but because, unless I'm mistaken, Kaguya-sama is like a short form. Is it 4-koma?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It feels like it. They just jump from like one tiny like 8-minute skit to the next. That's how Azumanga Daioh is, and although Azumanga Daioh is much funnier than Kaguya-sama Love is War, but and definitely retro. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with the His and Her Circumstances, and I actually don't agree with School Rumble either. But that's what life's all about, not agreeing. His and Her Circumstances is too serious. You know? Like, those two are like on their knees professing that they love each other in the first episode, whereas Kaguya-sama Love is War is the exact opposite. They're like, fuck you, I love you, but I'm just going to be insufferable this whole anime and then not tell you I love you. And thus Japan's birth rate drops to 0.
Yes, it all goes back to Kaguya-sama. They really fucked Japan over with this anime.
They did. Actually, it's all
you
Hentai's
take things
fault.
way too seriously.
It's all Hentai's fault.
Yeah, so I put down Toradora, 2008. I know it's a little bit more recent than what we're trying to go for, but honestly, in terms of like just romance anime, like that is kind of the biggest one that hasn't been recent. Just because, we got the two main characters that are supposed to be kind of frenemies, and well, it's a different romance from Kaguya-sama because they start off in Kaguya-sama secretly loving each other. But it is a very much a situationship for most of the show, where they sort of are starting to like each other, but they don't tell each other, and it keeps on going. But yeah, it's a good romance rom-com that if you haven't seen it yet, then you owe it to yourself to watch it.
Anything else?
Pat is saying Paradise Kiss and Kimagure Orange Road. Kimagure Orange Road is just boring, but it looks so cool. It looks so aesthetically
But Madoka
pleasing.
is so hot. Oh my
Visually,
god, they fucked up that so bad.
Just watch the first 3 episodes of Kimagure Orange Road and then stop.
It's so promising. It's so promising as an anime. And then that boy character, I can't remember his name. He is just awful. That Madoka chick, who's like the only person that could be as much of a sex icon as Lum from the 80s, is literally just gonna like find some other guy who actually treat her well, and you're gonna be like single forever, and you're gonna hate yourself. That's what's gonna happen. That's how that anime ends. Probably not.
Paradise Kiss is a good show. Would recommend it. Love all of that lady's works. Same person who did Nana, but I don't know if it strikes me with the same.
It's not a gag comedy.
Style. Yeah. I don't know. It's treading the line. Somewhere between Azumanga Daioh and His and Her Circumstance is where Kaguya lies. So watch both of those and you'll figure out what side you fall on. But I think Toradora is a good selection. Up next, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Obviously came out Netflix recently. But yeah, there's a lot of cybernetic type shows, like you have Psychopaths and stuff like that, but it never quite hit the same flavoring. And I think, to me, the kind of off-kilter, crazy, zany action, bang, 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 shoot 'em up, where a nice boy just gets his life ruined by a manic pixie dream girl with maybe heavy artillery, is Black Lagoon, which came out in 2006. Not super retro, but in the same sense of this guy just gets pushed into the underworld of gun smuggling and big old shootouts. It's kind of similar, and it's just big dumb fun and has some cool music. I don't know. It's wild and knows what it is, and I like that.
I like Outlaw Star for this pick, mostly because that anime is underrated and is never talked about, but it's because it's from 1998, I think. It could be 99, I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, it has the cybernetics. There's plenty of cybernetics in Outlaw Star. I mean, Gene Starwind starts off by basically killing cyborgs in the city that he's from, complete with like his friend that like what the hell's his name? Jim Hawking or whatever. Like scanning them to determine where their like cybernetic body parts are located and all their weak spots and shit. Gets a girl thrown into his life that shakes his life up. He's like out in outer space, battling it out with other pirates with like, spaceships with robot arms and crap. And it's pretty neat anime. It's not as close as, a couple as some of the other picks we have on this list, but I definitely think Outlaw Star is a little similar to Cyberpunk Edge Runners. It's just a little more like outer spacey, as opposed to just being like in the grunge, or it's not set in like pseudo Midgar or whatever. Oh, Furious on the chat had a good suggestion. Iria Zyram the Animation is a good pick. Lots of grungy cybernetics and like flying machines and weird vehicles and all kinds of shit in that anime. That's an OVA though. It's kind of short, but worth it. You can watch it on a Retro Crush.
And the other one I had for Cyberpunk was Ghost in the Shell. Just much of different. I think it's the Goji. I just compared OG and GOAT. It's the originator of a lot of this kind of cyberpunk vibe. But I think it more relates to the first half of Cyberpunk with the kind of dystopian world, kind of the look into how mega technology corporations have kind of ruined the day-to-day normal living life of folks, more than the crazy bombastic journey that it arrives to at the end of Cyberpunk. So, but yeah, obviously different sides of the law. We have a police officer versus more of a rebel vagabond criminal, but Still, obviously, if you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, you are just making a mistake with your life, and I think you'd be best to correct that.
Agree. Hard agree on that for sure. You got to at least watch the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
This next one's kind of easy. Bocchi the Rock. I think you have their best pick on here already.
I was trying to think outside the box. I'm like, what besides K-On! Fits Bocchi the Rock? And really all I could think of was what Mitz mentioned earlier was Azumanga Daioh, which also kind of has that zany kind of characters who aren't really great at communicating, but they kind of form a bond of friendship and goofiness and gags. And obviously they're not playing music in quite the same way, though there is that fire flute solo in the eye catches. But yeah, it's fun, silly, cute girls doing cute things before it became a just churned out, overly polluted genre.
The question is, do people watch Bocchi for the music or do they watch Bocchi for the cute girls?
I think it's mostly for the cute girls and sick animation.
So, I mean, if that's the case, there's a fuck ton of anime. I mean, shit. You could put anything from K-On! To Lucky Star to Girls in Panzer to just about anything here. But if it's for the music, like having an underground sort of indie band get a foothold, I mean, you could even go for like Beck or something. I mean, if you just want to, if it doesn't have to be girls, you know, you could throw that in there. There's a lot of music anime out there, and they're almost always about no names getting a foothold. So they're never about like a mega star. It's never about Elvis level or something like that. It's always about like, you know, someone who doesn't. It's always about the Rudy of like music. You know what I mean?
So I was close. I was tempted, you might say, to put Detroit Metal City on here, which is another story, which is funny about a very talented musician who is, you know, struggling to communicate his feelings. The only difference is he is in a brutal death metal, like satanic worship band. And he just wants to play nice indie. They are mosh pitting. They have a lot of BDSM on stage, a lot of fire, a lot of death and destruction. People just getting aroused out the wazoo. It's a very different tone, but it's also funny in a different way, and is a wild card option if you want a different.
Yes, I can see how that's like Bocchi the Rock.
It's funny, it's cute, it's amazing, it's unique, and it's recommendable, and I love both. So there you go. Up next, Attack on Titan. You might have heard of it. Just finished up. What shows do we think are similar to it? What do you guys got?
Pretty tough. So, because Attack on Titan is a hybrid of politics and giant-ass monsters. So, it's tough to find a show that has both. But I really like the first pick on here. And so someone put Berserk. I assume that was you, Mason, from 1997.
Probably.
Because it really hits the political stuff, and it has the dark, grungy tone that like Attack on Titan has for the most part. And I guess it doesn't have giant like monsters other than like Zod.
They get some big old boys later on. That's
in the end, they do, but there are people in that show that are larger than life. So I don't know. Maybe that's, I don't know. The Golden Age of Berserk. Is that what it's called? Golden Age. The Golden Age arc is some good shit, and I feel like Guts would take down a lot of Titans with just his sword. So,
it'd be fun to see him just slashing at ankles, trying to follow them like big timber trees, and then just bopping him on the back of the head.
No way.
That'd be fun.
He's gonna like leap on there and just like lop heads off.
Yeah. Depends. I don't know if he's got the vertical for it. He's got all that armor.
Surprised, man. He don't skip leg day. He gets in there. He gets in there. You know what I'm saying? I like Evangelion as a pick for this. It's still a little bit political. Has plenty of big monsters. And let's be honest, Attack on Titan is just a mecha anime. I mean, he literally was like, I'm going to make an anime where people ride inside of a giant, bigger version of a human, it's going to be a big Titan, and they're just going to ride inside. It's the same exact thing. You might as well just put them in a dummy
I don't
plug.
know, because
Oh, it's
based
the
on the
same
fact that I don't really like mecha all that much, I don't find mechas interesting, in my opinion. I find the Titans interesting. If they were riding around in robots in Attack on Titan to defeat the actual Titans, if they were riding around in robots instead, I don't know if I would have liked it as much. I know what you're saying. They are flesh mechs. It's been a joke that's been around since the incarnation of Attack on Titan. But just saying, oh, it's literally a mecha, it doesn't have the same vibe.
It's not literally, well.
I actually like this pick, Mitz, because Eva starts out similar in that it's just fight the big bad angels, like just fight them. And then as you learn more about the politics of the Nerve Incorporation and their kind of like subtle, like, oh, there's the meaning behind and the subverted goals and the personalities behind it. And, you know, someone's, I don't want to spoil too much. People we know might be kind of close to the angels or other big bad things. Seeing how that all plays out is kind of similar to how Attack on Titan just became a just fight the big bad enemy to a much bigger, richer, grander story.
Mm-hmm.
And while it's certainly different, there's enough there where I'd say it's essential viewing no matter what era for both shows. So I'm with you.
Yeah, and I agree. What I was saying before was just on the basis that Attack on Titan is supposed to be a mecha, apparently. But somebody made a great comment in the chat. Just like if two pregnant women fight each other, it's a mech battle.
It's true.
Babies inside. That's funny. That's funny.
What the fuck?
I know.
Do we want to move on to the next one?
Except babies cry way less than Aaron does. Wow.
Or
savage.
Or Shinji.
There's a lot of crying and bitching going on.
There's nothing wrong with being a sensitive man, okay?
Well,
it's true.
When you're trying to save the world, you just got to get in the mech. It's just like that song goes. What is Shinji? Get in the mech. Your dad loves you. Get in the mech. All right.
The J Kids alternate opening.
Yeah, exactly.
Next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Unless you had another one for Attack on Titan.
Nothing. No, I mean nothing good. I mean, really, I would just say like any anime that feels desperate and has big monsters is comparable, at least at that level. So my immediate gravitation was towards Blue Gender, although it's not a very good anime, but there are giant monsters literally wiping out humanity at the beginning of that show, and it's quite violent. So that anime kind of sucks, but it's mostly watchable. It doesn't really have a lot of the politics stuff, but it does have monsters tearing apart humans. So I don't know. There is that. If that's all you care about, Attack on Titan, then well, you probably didn't make it past like season 2. But anyway, you can keep going.
Next up was one that I actually had a lot of difficulty finding something for, but that is Spy Family, the beloved, show that everyone knows with Anya and all the forgers, and it's a good time. What's similar to it? Not much, really, but the one that came to mind for me was Barakamon from 2014. Kind of that found family, cute, adorable girl that is the highlight of the show for a lot of folks. Very good meme faces, a lot of good reaction faces, and just iconic moments of that show. Not a whole subplot of, oh, we got to pretend to be a family or we got to pretend to be super international secret spy agents. But, it's heartwarming, great OP, very stylistically cool, and just charming in a lot of ways. So, did you guys come up with anything else?
Not really, but this was a reach all around because you even said it's not exactly like Spy Family, but it's also from 2014. So that's not even really retro. We're already talking about questioning whether or not late 2000s are retro.
Yeah, exactly. I could not. What am I going to say? Buddy Daddies from last year? Is that it? That's not
no,
retro.
But yeah, same. I was really scratching my head about this one. I couldn't think of anything.
I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah,
Spy Family is just its own thing.
There are other anime about spies. I mean, but really,
and there's shows about family like Usagi Drop. But
is there a show about family and spies.
Spy Kids.
Spy
Yes.
Kids. He nailed
Spy
it.
Kids. When the scene when they take the pouches and they microwave them and it's a full meal. That's what I want. That's the
Those French
one.
fries.
Exactly.
Yes. And
You
they
can get
open up
hot
a
chicken
drawer
in
and it's just a
Knoxville.
drawer full of money.
It's not
next up.
Yeah, keep going.
We just got two more. Vinland Saga. I also put Berserk for this one. I probably could put Berserk for every single show and find a way to make it work just because it's so...
Like Spy X Family?
Yeah, it's the same. At the end,
Sure.
after the Golden Age, he has to go around and be a badass while taking care of everyone who is not doing so hot. But
Butchie the Rock? Are they playing instruments in Berserk?
It's...
No.
I'm gonna play quite a tune with my
It makes me
giant
happy.
broadsword.
when they do the song where they sing Guts, like that makes me hyped.
Kaguya-sama?
There was a lot of singing in this anime we're about to review in about half an hour.
Oh boy, well let's not get ahead of ourselves. But
I
see somebody put. Sorry, you're gonna talk more about Berserk.
Well, Berserk. I mean, their music is the screams of those that are dying, the pain of death,
Brought a tear to my
the
eye.
splash of blood on concrete.
I want to
That's
go
the
to
music.
their upcoming tour. So I had put down Moribito somewhere else on this list, but it just wasn't. It wasn't coming together. I don't think it was really all that great of an example. So I put a question mark next to it, and then I later deleted it. But it seems like somebody moved Moribito down here as well as a possible option for Vinland Saga. Who did that?
Probably me. I think I put Vinland Saga, and also I hadn't put this because I mentioned it already, but on the Twitch, Rurouni Kenshin. Thorfinn's coming off a little Kenshin like in season 2 of Vinland Saga. I mean, it's pretty shocking, but it just doesn't have the same like type of setting. I don't know. It's Vinland Saga's tough because there's not very many anime about Vikings, but there are plenty of anime with like political intrigue and violence and battles and stuff like that. And Moribito is a good one. It's not exactly the same, but it's set in the old days. There's a lot of violence and fighting and politics. Rurouni Kenshin's a good one because, like I said, Kenshin's whole thing is he's basically that whole anime is about him atoning for the just massacre of I don't know how many people, 1,000 people probably, during the Tokugawa Meiji era conflicts, and Thorfinn's like, I just killed a million people in all these Viking battles. Now I have to like be a peacemaker and basically Kenshin. So, and Jesus, he's also Jesus. He's right down to the hair and the facial hair. So it's there's definitely some comparables there, but I do think Berserk is also a good pick.
For Morbi. Is atoning for life. She kills people.
I need a robot drop.
She's kind of atoning in a way.
I think I got what she was saying. You'll hear it in the regular stream in the recording. It sounded like you were saying that Moribito was doing the atonement through her travels.
Am I back? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back now.
I thought we were good today. Apparently not.
But yeah, they both hit atonement, the historical setting, even if it's not as true to like, oh, we can actually calculate where Leif Erikson was on this day in 1950, whatever. I know it's not 1954, but you know what I mean. Yeah, good picks. And finally, Blue Lock. Soccer, little superpowered.
So I actually looked this one up, and I was like, anime like Blue Lock, and people just don't know what the fuck they're talking about on the internet. That anime CBR, that website's cbr.com.
Oh, you're in for a bad time if you're going there.
Literally know nothing about anime. They are it's a clown show over there. They're like comparing Blue Lock to like Hane Bado and shit. I'm like, how the fuck is that even remotely the same? It's not even. First of all, it's not the same sport. And
I mean, it's
no,
closer than...
Mason, don't do it.
You gotta give them the benefit of the doubt.
No, sir.
Okay, fine.
That's like saying Tsurune and Blue Lock are the same. One of them's like basically a shonen Squid Game, and the other one is like archery, but you're just as likely to like have tea and like meditate. Anyway, I put whistle.
Hanabato kind of gets super powered and crazy. Anyway, yeah. What do you got?
Mason. Actually, I want to hear you defend this.
Hanabato also has some cool, slick visuals at the beginning. They're obviously not playing soccer; they're playing badminton.
The same sport.
It's not the same sport, but like the same intensity and kind of forced drama is there. Both are kind of disappointing by the end, and they kind of hit on the same like the game, the matches kind of they match the intensity. I would say they're similar.
That's like me saying I love vanilla ice cream. You know, it's like vanilla ice cream, cookies and cream, because it's vanilla ice cream with cookies in it. And then you come along and you're like, you know,
that's a fairly decent comparison. Okay, so if we're talking about the world of food and you like vanilla ice cream, we're going to give you a recommendation. We're going to give you another ice cream, okay? If we're talking about the world of anime and you like a sports anime, we're going to give you another sports anime. That's just we're not going to nitpick all this.
No, but I'll die on the hill that I will watch soccer on TV, but I won't be paid $50 to watch badminton or whatever the fuck that was. Volleyball.
Sure,
or whatever.
But so when people are watching sports anime, they're not watching one specific type of sport in their sports anime. No, they're not. There are plenty of sports fans, sports anime fans. They're not watching just soccer anime. They're gonna watch. They like sports anime. They're gonna watch basketball anime. They're gonna watch volleyball anime. They're gonna watch soccer anime.
I didn't realize you were so passionate about Hanabato, considering it's not very good.
Well, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying
Caroline loves it.
I'm so ridiculous. No, I've never.
It's really.
I've never seen any sports
I feel so
shows
bad
that
for
we were
Caroline.
just talking about.
She's so aggressively defending herself, but we can't even hear her.
Sports anime. It's a sports anime. It's all the same.
All right, go watch Kabaddi and then come back.
But that's bad.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I see what you're saying, Mitch, but I think you're wrong. That's like saying, oh, if you like Haikyuu, you're more likely to watch Harukana Receive than watching Run with the Wind. Because, it's the same sport, so it's more similar.
I'm saying there are people that watch a sport because they like it, and they won't watch other sports. I'm one of those people. So I am never going to watch baseball, ever. But I will turn on the TV and watch basketball.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Let's go back to shitting on CBR, because that's the one thing we do agree on. Because they are bad most of the time. What do you have for your Blue Lock similarity?
Well, Whistle was one of those because it's soccer, and it's older. I did put Inazuma 11 because it's more like super powered shonen type, but that's not that old. It's not.
I thought it was older. It just feels older.
I'm just old. It's like I remember when Inazuma 11 was like big because they were making video games of it and stuff. And now it's been like 15 fucking years, and I'm just like I'm just like another 15-year cycle of that, and I'm gonna be dead. Sucks. Well, I don't know. Whistle's older. I didn't want to go all the way down to Captain Tsubasa. I mean, I could, but
it's not quite the same.
No, I mean, yeah.
It's because Blue Lock is so like modernized with the shonen death gamey type approach. It's not quite. I don't know. We tried our best. We got some good conversations out of it. Any other closing thoughts?
Well, the point is to try to recommend things that people wouldn't. People will watch an older anime, but they'll say, I don't know what to watch. I don't know what the good pick is. So if you at least present them with something that's newer, and then you say, well, if you like that, you might like this other show, and then you literally tell them what it is, people are more likely to go back and check out one of these other shows. So if you really, I assume everybody listening loves one of these anime, because we pretty much just picked like the most popular anime of the last like 4 years. But if you like one of these, if you like Vinland Saga, go check out Kenshin. I mean, that's kind of the point, and it's just to generate awareness, and that's pretty much.
Or just go to your Mal, your AniList, whatever site you use, and look up best anime of 1990.
Just don't go to
watch
CBR
it and be like, cool, and then go best anime of 1989, and you'll be like, wow, dang, there's some cool stuff out here, and it's rad, and it looks so just different than anime today, and I think there's some good stuff out there, some good gems.
And fuck High Dive. which, by the way, is apparently struggling very badly, much to my pleasure. They're turning off a whole bunch of services internationally, so they're probably just going to get absorbed by Crunchyroll, which means
so they can focus on attacking you here in America.
Yeah.
To our weekly trivia question here. In the anime Red Garden, what fruit does the main cast become obsessed with? We'll give you the answer after the news break.
Hey, Anime Addicts, it's Mitsugi, and I'm bringing you your anime news break, starting off with a manhwa anime adaptation. I know you all love your manhwa. So at Anime NYC, it was recently announced that the anime adaptation of True Beauty, the manhwa, is scheduled to premiere in 2024. Kim began drawing this romantic comedy in Naver Webtoon in April of 2018. So it's some kind of a website. And it ended recently on April 10th of this past year. So if you're a big fan of True Beauty, look out, because it's coming up pretty soon next year. You'll be able to enjoy it in anime format. Next up in the news, the FBI and the Marines are both going to be exhibiting at Anime NYC. This article from Anime News Network clearly has no social awareness whatsoever of how things are going in the world, because they don't seem to understand why the Marines are going, although if you do a little research, you'll see that their recruitment is down 10 to 20%. So they do mention at the bottom of the article that they are going for the purposes of recruitment, which should be blatantly obvious. But it looks like they're going to be having a battle dome that will let you show what it takes to become a Marine and what it means to fight and win, and all this. So, they're going to be there to try to recruit anime fans and young people to join the military. So if you're interested in that, you'll be able to find their exhibit amongst the normal standouts like Good Smile Company and Bandai Namco, etc. Next up in the news, One Piece film Red surpasses Princess Mononoke as the number 7 all-time film in Japan. Of course, adjusted for inflation, probably not. We'll have to see here. One Piece film Red has earned about $133 million in Japan, and this brings it past the Princess Mononoke, but unadjusted for inflation, so I'm sure that it's not quite there yet when you put inflation into account. There was an encore screen running that ranked number 1 last week, in which there were another $1 million racked up for One Piece film Red. One Piece, very popular in Japan. The movie has become the franchise's highest-selling and highest-earning film installment, both in terms of number of tickets sold and earnings at the box office. So if you're a fan of One Piece, it's definitely thriving. Next up, the Kingdom manga commemorates 100 million copies in circulation. So Kingdom, which never seems to get covered by this podcast, quietly is just blowing most other mangas completely to pieces by having 100 million copies in circulation with its 70th volume released on November 17th. There's some commemorative illustrations in the manga for the milestone, and I can't help but wonder if I should pick this up, because every single season of Kingdom has just ridiculous ratings online, and apparently it's quite amazing. So this record-setting manga launched in Shueisha's Weekly Shonen Jump magazine back in 2006 and has been quietly stomping throats for 17 years. This is Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break, and now time to get back to the podcast. Anime Addicts, the AAA podcast, is always trying to bring you new and exciting ways to enjoy our content, and now we have an exclusive member-only RSS feed on the site that is going to let you access our hentai episodes, our Hobby Addicts, and our After Parties episodes, all from your favorite mobile apps. That's an additional 8 episodes of content per month just for you, and you can listen to it through Apple Podcasts app, you can listen to it through Podcast Addicts, Pocket Cast, Overcast FM, Downcast FM, etc., onward and onward. So many mobile apps for you to choose from. If you were holding back on supporting the podcast because you didn't like listening to our extra content through our website, now you can get it and listen to it the same way you enjoy all your other podcasts. So pitch in, help out the podcast, do a good thing, and enjoy all the extra content we have for you. Just go to aapodcast.com/join, support the podcast, Merry Christmas, and you will get all this extra content and an exclusive member RSS feed for you to enjoy. That's aapodcast.com/join and support the podcast. It'll never get old. In the anime Red Garden, what fruit does the main cast become obsessed with? It's more like they required the fruit. Those people have no teeth left. There's just all the citric acid from those lemons just wreck those teeth. It doesn't take long for an acidity of 2 to fuck your teeth up. But that's the answer, lemons. So, oh my god. What a wild anime. It's going to be a long, weird conversation. Because they just don't make them like that anymore. Oh, to be honest with you. All right. Well, as I get my soundboard all queued up here, welcome back to the show, everybody. We're glad to have you here. And if you want to support the podcast, you will get access to our exclusive RSS feed, which gets you all of the hentai episodes, which we're going to have to do one today because we're definitely behind. And besides, we owe it to you. And who doesn't love a little hentai? You get all the hentai episodes, the Hobby Addicts, and the after parties on your favorite podcast app. We got Podcast Addicts, Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, everything. All these apps have the word cast in them. It's so ridiculous. They all have the word cast. So, but yeah. So for just a few dollars a month, you can get access to all of our backlog. I mean, honestly, it's like for the price of a Chipotle burrito, you get like 400 hours of content. And we haven't raised our prices in like 10 years. So, at this point, that money's basically worthless. I'm stalling for time because this laptop it really wants me to discover something sweet over at Facebook. And it's just this advertisement on this app, on this tablet's soundboard. It just will not let me access my soundboards because it has the longest ad ever in history.
So subscribe so we can buy Mitsugi a new tablet.
And me a new computer.
Ridiculous.
And new Wi-Fi.
Oh, I'm sorry that Router Coon is struggle busing today.
Well, I really don't know what the deal is because if we take a look back like a few months ago, this was not a problem. And now it's a problem every single week that I have the pleasure of dealing with.
It would probably be way faster if you just got an Ethernet cable and just ran it through your house to the router, which is what I do. It'll times 10 your internet speed for sure to run a cable. So you can go buy an Ethernet cable.
This has not been suggested to me yet, so we will look into that.
All right. Well, as we often do, but haven't done so in a while, it's time for Does Mitsugi's Mom Know? So bring our victim in, and we will get rolling with this. Been a while, but yeah, we are overdue. It's time for Does Mitsugi's Mom Know? The game show that pits Mitsugi's unassuming mother against anime's most basic questions. Now here are your hosts, the Anime Addicts. Whoa! It's time for Does Mitsugi's Mom Know? It's been a while, but she still doesn't know the answers to anime's most basic questions. And on the phone today, who do we have? What is your name, and where are you calling from?
You've got Furious from Outback, Australia.
Outback, Australia. Man,
Woo!
Yep.
That's a first for us, I think.
What
Maybe-
time is it there?
It is 10:15 on a Monday morning. I happen to have the day off, so here I am.
How's the future
You're in
for
the
you?
future.
How's it going?
It's very exciting. What a privilege. It's cool.
Well, we're so glad to have you on our show today, as you are often on our Discord as well. So again, if everybody, AAADiscord.com if you want to join the Discord, because it is a pretty fun place. Now, Furious, I know you know the rules to this game probably, but I'm going to give you 5 questions, and you will have to guess whether or not my mother, who recorded these questions this morning, by the way, knows the answers to some questions that, well, most anime fans would just know the answers for sure because they're, brain dead easy. But does she know? And you're treading down a path that is laden with bodies. So, yeah. And there are probably some bets against you on the Discord, but you're going to show them what's up today, aren't you?
I really am. I was practicing with my stepmom, but with hentai episodes, and thankfully she doesn't know much about Bible Black. It's
I
very
love this.
I
reassuring.
don't know if hentai episodes would really help you out because Mitsugi doesn't really get down and dirty with his mom.
That's true, but it was looking for tells. It was looking for certainty, and it was me being clear on betting for certainty.
You'd be surprised, Caroline. My brother and I broke my mom a long time ago. She's seen things that she probably shouldn't have. But anyway, let's get started with the game. We're glad to have you. I wish you the best of luck.
Good luck, lucky player. With me, it's you never know.
All right. Here
See,
you
she
go.
sounds nice, but I think she's goading you.
It's a
I'm
taunt.
ready.
Here's your first question. Originally, how many Dragon Balls were there in Dragon Ball? It's obviously 7, but of course now they're up to like 28.
Really?
There's a lot of them.
No.
There's multiple sets of them, yeah.
I feel like she's gonna say 5, so I think she's gonna get this.
You think she's going to go for the nice round number of 5?
I think so. So she'll get this wrong.
All right, should I lock you in? She's watching live, by the way. No pressure.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Hi, Betsy.
She doesn't know how many Dragon Balls there are. Originally, how many Dragon Balls were there in Dragon Ball?
7.
Oh, no. Oh. We're just gonna bury the football in the backyard. That game didn't count. And we're just
But
gonna
it
move
did,
ahead.
and you're down 1 in the hole.
You
That's
took one
true.
in the, listen, you took one in the chest, but it missed all the vitals. You're ready to go. Are you ready for question
Killing
2?
it, baby.
I think so. Yeah.
What kind of hairstyle does Saitama, the main character from One Punch Man, have? It was kind of a self-serving
for it.
question because I bald as shit. So
I like to picture you asking her this question in person as she's staring at your chrome dome, like, I wonder.
Yeah, she surely will get this right. The only way this could go wrong is if she misheard One Punch Man as One Piece, and she's thinking of that.
One Piece
Surely
Man.
Surely that's
I
what
like how
happened.
you're thinking about angles, though.
Maybe a
keep
little
thinking-
too much thought.
Keep thinking about giving One Piece another try. We'll see. It might happen. No, Mason's saying no. Oh, sorry, Raggedy Doctor. All right, am I locking you in? She does not know. She said she knows. She knows that. She knows the answer.
She will know this haircut. Yeah.
Here we go. What kind of hairstyle does Saitama, the main character from One Punch Man, have?
A mohawk.
Oh! Oh my god.
Sometimes she just is so out there. Like, she doesn't say, like, buzz cut or, I don't know, pompadour, like we would. But she doesn't know, so she's going to go with the most outlandish thing. She's going to go mohawk.
Oh my goodness. Well, they're
I know,
cheering
I
you
think-
on the Twitch. Some are cheering you on. Some are rooting for your downfall. Money's at stake here, people. It's very important.
I'm not thinking of taking up falconry.
Falconry.
Why not?
It's a callback.
That sounds dope. All right. You're down. You're not out.
Mm.
Are you ready for your third question?
Yeah, I'm feeling like I can have a historical comeback here.
Ooh,
And I'm
confidence.
gonna remind you that you can ask one of the other 2 hosts that are watching, but historically that hasn't gone very well. But you can ask one time. In My
Well, I didn't
Neighbor
know
Totoro, what is the occupation of the father?
Well, I will ask a host, Mason. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Mitsugi's mom would know this?
Are you asking Caroline or are you asking Mason?
Mason, yeah.
This is so difficult because it is the hardest question yet, But we know her affinity for Ghibli films.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think I asked the question, Mason?
Oh, I know. You're a master at this. Oh, my goodness. I would say... So what answers are we accepting here? Like, professor? Writer?
The answer is archaeology professor. That's literally what he is.
Yeah. Is just professor enough?
Professor
Are we
would be enough. If that's what she gives, we'll take it.
Okay.
That's true.
Well,
Even I didn't know the answer.
Teacher. What about teacher? Like, how...
Mason, quit trying to milk for the answer.
Listen, I'm trying to help our boy out. Because I want to say she does know.
You can help him out with your opinion.
This is good. This is really helping hemispherical relations.
Yeah, exactly. We're merging North and South here.
The world depends on this.
I think if I'm going to go down, I got to go down in a supernova. So I firmly believe that your mum will know that Totoro's other father was a professor or an archaeology teacher.
All right. She knows the answer. Am I locking you in?
Oh, God. Am I going to weasel out of this? I'm going to weasel out of it. Yep, I'm weaseling out of it. She will not get this right.
She says she won't get it.
Ooh, a change of answer.
All right.
A weasel.
I'm locking you in. She doesn't know it.
Done.
In My Neighbor Totoro, what is the occupation of the father?
He's a writer. I always saw him writing at his desk, so I wasn't sure what he did.
Look at that. Weasel, my spiritual animal.
You did it.
All right. There is life in you. You're
Nice call. You know, I did mention she might have said writer. So
there's hope.
If it provides any clarity, I didn't know the answer either, and I've seen that movie 400 times. All right. Let's move it along here. Question 4. Mitsugi and Pancake will be going to Japan next year. The Ghibli Museum is located closest to what major city in Japan? The answer is Tokyo.
Yeah, she'll get this.
All right. I'm going to Japan. I will go to that Ghibli Museum. I've been there so many times, it's not even interesting anymore. But I will take Pancake. She knows it. It's in Tokyo. Am I locking you in?
You know, this is the classic trap question. This is the one where somebody's coasting and they're doing nicely. This is what gets them.
Well, I don't know. Say coasting. You got one right. Sorry to double burst.
I think he was saying in general.
Damn.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah. I'm just pointing out the facts.
I'd like to remind you that you're doing poorly, but not that poorly.
You know, yeah, you're right. That was pretty assholey of me. I'm sorry.
No. Actually, that was we call that compassion in Australia. So thank you. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Look, I am gonna, like I said, just part of me just wants to go out in a bang. So Tokyo it is. I believe that your mother knows.
All right.
Possibly your cities, and it's not a sucker.
Here we go. Mitsugi and Pancake will be going to Japan next year. The Ghibli Museum is located closest to what major city in Japan?
Kyoto.
No way.
Oh, no!
No!
Did I just lose on a palindrome? No.
It's close to a palindrome.
I lost on an anagram.
One of the characters is the same.
It's true. Well, listen.
Pronounced the same.
That's a good effort.
You didn't win, but almost no one wins. So you are just another body to line the road. And
you're not swept.
But you did elevate our podcast today, and I'm so glad you called in. So thank you for playing, and I hope you enjoyed.
And it wasn't a complete shutout. You did get
one. That's true.
One.
You didn't embarrass yourself. But you should have weaseled again. That was working for you. What happened to that?
You know, weasels, they run away. They help you once, and then they just go.
That's fair enough. Well, I hope you enjoy the review of Red Garden later. Thanks for joining us.
Beautiful show. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Oh, such a hard game.
I know. I don't have the official count, but I believe your mom is now 15-7. She has defeated the opponent over twice as often as someone wins.
That makes no statistical sense.
Especially because it's a 50-50 each question, and you have to do 3 or 5, so.
Yeah, but still, it's like, surely it wasn't going to be like that. Your mom is quite the lady.
Elusive.
She sometimes guesses correctly.
She's gloating in the chat. She's saying woohoo!
Would you guys like to try the 5th question? Because I'm not going to use it.
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. Coyote, the main girl character from Your Lie in April, plays what musical instrument?
I don't think she'll get this one. I think she'll probably go with the accordion because she likes throwing those out
That's
there.
random as Mohawk.
I mean, she'll probably say piano.
So neither
Yeah,
of you think
maybe.
neither of you think it.
Yeah, I'm saying no, but I'll
So we
say
know
yes.
it's a
Just to,
violin.
The main girl character from Your Lie in April plays what musical instrument?
She plays the violin.
What?
You
How
both
did she
missed
know
it.
this? Oh my god. We're
she
all
said that with
terrible.
confidence too.
Rip. Oh, she
So
watched this. She watched
She
it.
says everything with confidence.
She's
She
seen
watched
the-
that?
Oh, she's seen the whole thing.
I thought she stopped watching anime when you left the house.
Well, sometimes I recommend anime and she watches them. She
Jeez.
actually watches stuff I recommend, which is kind of cute.
Man, then her knowledge base is even more complex than I thought.
It's a random disaster. All right, guys. Shall we do the mailbag? We're gonna need
Bet
time
you're
for this review.
awesome.
Mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
If you'd like to submit a mailbag, you can go to AAApodcast.com and click on the mailbag button. You can send us a message, we'll answer it, and we will dance for you every single time
Hit that
the
button.
theme song's played.
Hit that button. Hit it hard.
Just like Shoujo Jimbro did. Hey guys, huge fan of the podcast here. I've been listening for about a year and a half now.
Yeah, you
I've
have.
been steadily working my way through the back catalog in year-long blocks. My anime addiction is now so much worse. I know you guys don't put much stock in genres and demographics, but I'd love to know what each of your favorite shonen, shoujo, sci-fi, fantasy, and slice of life shows. Bonus points if for any shows that have insane premises. I'm always trying to broaden my horizons, and you guys give the best recommendations. Thanks again, and sending love from London, UK. We've gone really
Smashing,
international
baby.
today. That's I think.
Mr. Worldwide.
All right, go ahead.
Who would like to go first?
Not me.
I'll go first. So I was lazy and did not list my favorites because I feel like I talk about them all the time. But instead, here are shows of each of those subsets with what I consider to be some of the more insane or radical premises. For shonen, you have Assassination Classroom, where they're trying to kill a big monster, but it's their teacher, and that's kind of unique. As well as Dorohedoro, just the whole magical society in this dirty underworld where this guy is transformed into a crocodile with a man inside his face who doesn't know who turned him into a crocodile. It's just weird. It's wild. Love it. For shoujo, I have to go with Girls in Panzer, just the whole sports anime, but it's girls driving a tank in a tank school. It's just ridiculous enough to work. In fantasy, Land of the Lustrous, let's have all our characters be like ethereal, eternal gemstones. That's rad, as well as Recreators, kind of a reverse isekai where the characters from this made-up world come into the real world and like meet their creators. That's fun. For Slice of Life, Saint Young Men, let's just have Buddha and Jesus hanging out in Japan. That's a riot. And Sekko Boys, which is an idol show where the idols are just statues. They're just headshot busts of these boys, and they get wheeled around the place to perform.
Don't
just
forget
so
Gal and
stupid.
Dino.
Yeah, Gal and Dino is pretty good too. I would put that up there. And finally, sci-fi is Deno Coil, which is just a super intriguing show where their sci-fi is just like these cool glasses that are kind of like Google Glass or whatever it was called. It just was way ahead of its time and was just really telling in a unique way. So all those shows are worth checking out in one way or another, and they're just all wild.
Yeah, I didn't really think much about the insane premises part, mostly because, you know, I first saw what my favorite one is, and some of them are just very generic, but whatever. So, favorite shonen, surprise, surprise, Attack on Titan. I would have come up with a different idea that I don't talk about as much, but, so yeah, cliche. But it's truly a shonen that starts off fairly par for the course and becomes far more greater than the genre that it's originally given, I think. So Yeah, I'm gonna put that down. Shoujo, I put down Yona of the Dawn, even though I've only read the manga and I haven't really seen much of the anime. But yeah, I love Yona. It's great. Sci-fi, Steins Gate. Don't really need to explain much about that because it's a classic. Fantasy, I put down To Your Eternity. It is just a really cool fantasy world. But if you're looking for one with an insane premise, I might actually say Eminence in Shadow, just because it's a fantasy isekai with the main character being super overpowered and actually ruling the world, but not really knowing that he is because he thinks it's all roleplay. So that's pretty great. Slice of life, I always say Sangatsu no Lion, but since it's kind of more of a drama slice of life, I'm gonna go with Yuru Camp because it's very slice of life. It's just so cute, makes you feel warm inside, and I think that's what slice of life is best at. So I'll leave it there.
I'll be quick. For Shonen GTO, I think Great Teacher Onizuka. Onizuka is, to me, one of the best anime characters I've ever encountered. He's just fun as fuck, selfless, tough as shit. I mean, it's tough to get through that first hour of GTO and not at least think Onizuka is at least a little cool. I mean, it's pretty,
or at least a little bit
tough.
of a himbo.
Yeah, there you go. Shoujo, I don't watch a lot of shoujo, but I do think Honey and Clover is a pretty great show. It's tough to get around that. And I didn't even look it up, but I'm pretty sure that's shoujo. Might be just slice of life. Sci-fi, Crest of the Stars. It's ride or die, baby. I gotta stick with my guns. Crest of the Stars, Banner of the Stars. These are pretty cool shows that don't have a lot of comparables. For fantasy, 12 Kingdoms, ride or die, baby. Gotta go with it. 12 Kingdoms does have a pretty, it's an isekai show, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on in there.
I think it has a much more interesting premise than a lot of isekais out there.
Oh, 12 Kingdoms is like the fucking Kobe beef of isekai, but
yeah,
I just don't know if it qualifies as an quote insane premise, but it's not.
I think the fact that a girl was supposed to be born in another world, but because, I don't know, her tree branch fell off or something like that she was born from, and landed in the other world, I think that's pretty insane.
The Shoku sucked the fruit off the tree. Yeah. Fucking dope. I mean, any anime that uses close to, like, I'd say 100 terms that need to be looked up, it's like you're in the thick fantasy shit with that one. But yeah, it's pretty neat.
Pretty high fantasy.
Yeah, so that's about it. I don't want to belabor it because this review is going to be wild because this anime was bizarre. Mason, you want to take it?
Yeah, I can do this. So we are doing a review of Red Garden, and people might be wondering why. How did this get picked? So on our Discord, people sometimes come in with a ton of passion for a show. And when they do that, it kind of propagates in the community, and a bunch of people will check it out, and it builds like this mini cult of fans that get hyped together. It happened with Birdie Wing, it happens with One Piece, it happened with the latest season of Bang Dream, and a bunch of others. And one such show was brought forth by an entity on the Discord known as The Hive. They're a collective of folks down in Australia. They make an online comic called Gene Queens, and it's Gene Queens as in like a nucleotide sequence of royalty. They're a group of folks, and just go to the Discord to experience their lore. Anyway, at the macro level, this crew has contributed a lot to the podcast through engaging conversations and ideas on the Discord and through financial support. And in summer of 2023, the seasonal anime just were not that great. It just didn't give us a bunch that we wanted to watch.
Like, I only passed one show, and I kind of left the other one open. So I think that's where this fills in. Yeah, so with that, we did the 3-listener choice, and we decided, you know what, let's, in honor of the show that they had been bringing up in the Discord with a lot of love, we'll return to 2006 to check out the show they championed to see if it is a forgotten gem or better buried in the past. And hopefully this review can provide some entertainment through the difficulties that they are overcoming. So sympathies and gratitude aside, we're not going to pull any punches. So Red Garden is a 22-episode show from fall of 2006. You can watch it on Crunchyroll, Hulu. It's done by Gonzo, a notorious show.
Last Exile, baby.
Last Exile.
That's all I want to remember.
Yankutsuo, Welcome to the NHK, Full Metal Panic. They've done a lot, and you're never really sure what you're going to get with the Gonzo show. It's rolling the dice every time. It is original, but there is a manga that came out kind of alongside it. And yeah, what were people's initial expectations to Red Garden? We'll start with Caroline.
Yeah, I've never heard of Red Garden before. I've only heard of it because people were talking about it so often on the Discord. And I'm like, what is a Red Garden? So, and I actually didn't really look up anything about the show until we started watching it for the podcast. So I was going in pretty blind, to be honest.
Excellent. And Mitsugi?
Well, I can give you my opinion, but first, did you use the word nucleotide?
Yeah, so like when I said gene, I wanted to like, it's not like
that's genes
like a pair of genes. It's the like gene. It's like
I just
DNA.
wanted to call you a nerd. It's all right.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I got it. Well, I thought this was a murder mystery, actually, going into it. And I had even recruited Pancake to watch it because she's, for some reason, the ladies love true crime. I don't know why, but I was like, it's a murder mystery. That's kind of like true crime. And she's like, oh, I'm all in. I was like, I knew you would be. But it ended up not being.
You set her up for something different.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. Yeah, and the first couple episodes of this anime definitely seem like they're heading in a murder mystery direction. So, but I knew it was from 2006. I knew it was a Gonzo anime. So I don't know. To be frank, I wasn't really sure. But murder mystery wasn't quite right.
Yeah. So, the Hive is an eccentric and a thoughtful bunch, and I really had no idea what I was getting with the show. And essentially what the show is, the brief synopsis, is that it takes place in New York City at this prestigious academy called that is on Roosevelt Island, this little island just off of Manhattan. And this academy is the epicenter of a bunch of mysterious deaths of female students. And we find out that all these dead characters actually might not be dead, and a group of 4 very disparate girls are plunged into this dark world of like fighting for their lives as they attempt to uncover the truth behind their futures, their past, kind of what is happening. So that's kind of where that murder mystery element comes into play. But yeah, there's definitely a supernatural element to the show. It's very like pirate versus ninja, vampire versus werewolf, but more like vampire versus vampire. But we'll get to that. So spoilers still, off the table. We're not going to talk about it yet. Would you guys recommend Red Garden? Caroline?
Okay, so just to like preface, I am going into this with knowing that it's a recommended show from a real, by a group of people that really love this show, so they recommended it. And it's one thing when we're reviewing a show that was voted in by like the listeners as a group, because especially when at that time it's not finished yet, so if we shit on it, like they probably didn't like it either, or at least some of them didn't. So I do feel bad about this.
Come on.
No.
She says no.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
but
you're too nice.
It's just I kind of don't see the appeal of the show as a whole. It has
stop feeling bad.
Decent parts. It has like the cast isn't bad. The
struggling.
Okay, so like the one villain in particular, I actually kind of like Hervé. I think it was fairly interesting because he has some justifiable motivations. I figured for a good portion of the show that I was like, okay, so this is like a battle between people. There isn't one set villain, but then they kind of made one set villain by the end of it. So it's kind of that kind of fell apart from me.
See, I think Hervé was a fucking snake in the grass the whole time.
Oh, sure, but like I can see why,
Yeah, he's trying to protect his sister.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
like, wouldn't you do some bad things for your family?
Is my mom still watching?
Anyway, but yeah, it's just like the character designs I did not like whatsoever. Like, I just came into it. I'm like, ooh, the lips are bad, and like the hair is wow, and yeah, and it just did not click for me. And to be honest, I have a long list of nitpicks because I'm that type of person that just took me out of it. And by the end of it, like I just wasn't feeling it. So I'll leave the rest for spoilers, but unfortunately, it's just not something I'll recommend.
Oof. Mitsugi?
It's difficult to recommend this anime, not because it's horrible, but because it's so eccentric. I think it really requires a very specific person. This anime, to me, at the beginning, was hot trash, honestly. I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, what is happening? But I thought it did improve steadily for me as it went on. And at the end of it all, it's not hot trash. But to me, it's just tough to recommend because I don't know I don't know anybody that I think I can recommend this to. It's mostly like the dude I shoot pool with and drink whiskey, probably not. The guy who wants to watch MMA, no, probably not. Like it's tough. Like there is a person out there. It's probably someone that enjoys more of the fantasy, eclectic type shows. So I say no, not because it's terrible, but because I just don't know who I'd recommend it to be honest. So, yeah. But it's funny that Caroline said that, that the characters, like the way they look, was one of the things she didn't like, because I think that this anime, low-key, has some of the best dressed and designed characters that I've seen in a long fucking time.
Have you seen the purple leggings, Mitsugi?
They wear like 100 outfits
over the high heels.
I'm not analyzing, there are some shows like let me take like Dragon Ball, for example. Goku's wearing the same fucking shit, the same orange baggy parachute pants for 500 episodes. And I'm like, fine, like I wish I had a pair of parachute pants that were that cool, but I appreciate how the characters in this anime aren't just swap outs of hair with the exact same faces, which is how like most shows are now. And
you're right about that.
So they look different, they act different, they sound different, and they're pretty well dressed for the most part. I'm not a fashion design expert, but I really thought that they nailed that aspect of the show. Like I thought the four girls, while they start off pretty annoying, they do get better. But we'll get into all this, but it's funny that we differed on that, but we can keep talking about it. I thought this show hit so many different genres. It's like one part soap opera. I felt like I was watching like Gossip Girl, XOXO, and one part thriller, one part supernatural, like clan rivalry, but
mystery.
Mystery. But first and foremost,
romance.
At the beginning, it's a horror anime. It starts off with like it's almost like zombies, and you're like, the fuck, like what's going on? And then it just turns on its heel, and it kind of just transitions throughout the course of it. And so, I was a little pleased with at least not knowing where we were headed. Like, when I'm watching like an isekai anime from today, I know exactly where that fucking show's going. He's going to become OP because he's got some stupid skill. This anime, while it was certainly pretty weird, I didn't know where it was going for the most part. Like for most of it, I was like, where is this going? And it didn't really become apparent where it was heading until about episode 14 or so. And then I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand. But I did appreciate it for that, for the most part. But there sure was a lot of crying and misery in this anime. There's so much misery.
It's a lot of crying.
And the animation did kind of suck. So, Mason, did you answer this question?
No, not yet.
Why don't you go ahead?
I agree with you, Mitz, that this show just takes a lot of risks. It is serving everything it can on the plate. And you have to I'm the kind of person who appreciates that it went for it. And when the show takes this many different artistic liberties with trying to hit so many styles and do so many things, it's going to fall flat for some of them. But I think for the most part, the show was engaging. I actually disagree with you, Mitz. I thought the first opening of the show was really solid in how it pulled you into the mystery thriller. And then it just kind of went on for a while with a very long character study. And that character study through the middle haul, I think, is what I think will throw a lot of people off. Because there's so much time of just characters going through the same thing and trying to digest the situation they're in. And I think that made for some of the most engaging characters we've seen in anime for a while. I adored the core group of four and how they bounced off things and encountered all the symbolism in different ways. But at the same time, for all that strengths and positives, the cool art style and outfits that it did so well, they were like, let's try singing at the end of some of these episodes. And that like didn't work at all. And I just accepted that as like, hey, this I could do without, but it came bundled with this massive Thanksgiving platter of 18 different dishes. And I'm like, well, most of it tastes good. So I agree. It's hard to recommend because it is so off the walls and diverse in its ideas, but I appreciate that they just went for it. And overall, I was only really let down by the end of it with kind of how everything wrapped up in some of the convenience and how the mystery played out. So I enjoyed it. I'll probably speak more positive about it than you guys, but yeah, it's definitely hard to recommend still. So with that
Did you
said,
watch the OVA? Because I didn't watch
I
the
did
OVA.
watch the OVA.
I did
How was
not.
that?
I'll speak to that at the very, very end.
Okay.
But if I were including the score of the OVA, I would say I would have dropped the score a bit. So
Oh,
I
really?
would not recommend the OVA, but we'll talk about it in like a 1-minute wrap up. But for now, it's a wild ride. Let's get on it with spoiler territory.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
All right, I played the spoiler drops. So I don't want to see any more like 1-star reviews crying about how we spoiled an anime. A couple
Yeah,
things.
that really annoyed me, to be
It's okay.
honest.
I got that removed. So assholes.
Nice.
So a couple things. This anime is
Where do we
done in
start?
a different way as far as the lip flaps. I don't know if you guys know this, but I was reading more
Yep.
about this anime.
Yeah, I didn't know
and
about this.
So usually in Japanese anime, they will do the video, they will do the visuals, and then they will dub it over in Japanese to the lip flaps. However, in this anime, the character's dialogue is animated after the voice work. So they did the lip flaps to match the voice work. Now,
The voice acting did seem quite, free floating, like in a good way.
Now, I
Like,
watched
not constrained to lip flaps.
Sure, exactly. Yeah. And I watched it dubbed because I would never have gotten through it in a week otherwise. Man, it's amazing how much easier it is to get through a dub anime. I'm watching this at work. I'm blowing through 5, 6, 7 episodes in one sitting. It's like, damn, it's a whole different battle. But yeah, I can't speak to the dub because the dub probably was after the fact too. So that, but the Japanese, which I didn't watch, also the singing.
The
It's
singing
talk
was
about the
not
singing.
good in either version.
Because, oh my god.
But it isn't.
Why? What
don't know.
purpose did that singing? What was the purpose of that? Because it was cringy. It was bad. It was bad singing. It was while crying. They did it 4 times in a very short span of time.
So I'm gonna go
And I still don't know why.
I'm gonna go a little deeper than I usually do for Furious. It's pretty obvious that this anime's main theme is like the meaning of life, at least one of them, and a lot of bad shit's happening in this anime, and a lot of the girls are under a lot of emotional turmoil, and has been said throughout history that people tend to sing when they're having a hard time. People would sing when they were, like in the frontier days, and they sing like when they're in like the chain gang, like wherever it is. So personally, I think that they're singing because they're mourning like their situation, and it's just a way to express their emotions in an uplifting way. Now, I thought it was interesting that the singing is done in Broadway musical style, which is kind of weird, but to me, it's really just them like literally letting out the steam of all the problems that they're dealing with in a productive way. But also, this anime is just like taking a lot of risks, like Mason said, and definitely throwing in like probably a total of 10 minutes of musical numbers, even though they weren't particularly well sung, is definitely
It's
risky.
the same song over and over again. Like, why does Hervé know this song that the other girls are singing all of a sudden?
I don't think they ever addressed that. I don't recall. They
So
might
the
have.
only
If
thing
the
I
song
wanted-
had some sort of like narrative importance to the girls and Hervé. Like if it had been, I don't know, like, oh, this was Lise's favorite song and she would sing it all the time and the girls are singing it and Hervé heard her singing it, so now he's singing it because I don't know if he had feelings for Lise at all, but if that was the case, then I would still hate it, but it would make sense. I know what you're saying with like singing when you're sad, but it just silly.
It was a choice that I didn't think paid off well. Though I want to mention the technique of doing the voice acting first and then animating to that, I think made everything feel natural because the characters would talk over one another. Anime so often is character A speaks his line, pause. Character B responds, pause.
Right.
And when we were having this podcast, I start a sentence and I end it and then someone's jumping on over because that's how humans talk. And I think that helped just make me feel so more engaged with the realism of the elements of the show and made me feel for these characters as real entities besides just, oh, they're 2D plastered on a stage who all know the same song and they're singing it together in a very campy way that just didn't even sound good. Like, if you wanted to have a song and dance number, fine, but at least make it, I don't know. I like the characters. I like their voice acting, even if the singing wasn't great.
Yeah, so about the voice acting, one thing I will say is that these actresses gave it their all when they're screaming bloody murder with their heads cut off. It's like, holy moly, like they really had to put their voices through the ringer for this.
One of my favorite moments of the show is because they're playing rough and tumble high school students. One of the characters is yelling out, "Shut the fuck up, bitches," as she's like angrily jumping at non-existent butterflies, and it's just like a funny like dichotomy of like being so angry at this like flapping little insect just above them that doesn't even I thought it was funny. Yeah, I don't know. They're good.
Speaking of the dub, there
were a
some
couple of good dialogues, or like just voice acting wise,
Yeah.
a couple good moments of that. Yeah.
There were also some pop culture references. I had them written down, and I meant to get the clips of them, but then I forgot my paper at
The
work.
Soup Nazi
Nazi
from
reference
Seinfeld,
from Seinfeld.
he was on there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wicked, it was
Yep.
like witches or something.
Yep.
Nat Ham's hot dogs instead of Nathan's.
Oh, I didn't notice that, but the Soup
there's
Nazi
a-
reference
there's
was
some
super
stuff like
on the
that.
nose.
It is super on the nose.
Super funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, this show was very obviously it takes place in New York City,
Yeah.
and I think they did well. There's not
New
enough
York
like traffic
City.
and people, but obviously very lithe forms with Western noses. They kind of all had this aggressive like Harley Quinn like makeup application on, but overall I liked the visuals. Visually, it was pretty consistent. There were some hiccup points like at the end on episode 17 where there's this big confrontation on the roof and everyone looks very wonky. I did like the Gankutsuo style OP, the eye catches of material goods without like a human wearing them, I thought were visually interesting. So there's just some nice moments, and I like the design of the show. I like how it looked.
I guess it's all a matter of opinion because I didn't.
It does
Rachel's
not look
hair
like
reminds me of Mrs. Lovett from Sweeney Todd, which she has an insane hairstyle all the
I
time.
thought you were
I'm
going to
like,
say
what?
the lady from
Like,
Rugrats.
are they pigtails?
Oh.
Is it just volume? I don't know. It's just very strange to me.
I thought it was Ronald McDonald, like kind of.
A little bit. And I love how they reference one girl. Like, so there's a reference made to that one girl with short hair. Literally 3 out of the 4 characters that are shown have short hair. All of them have short hair.
That's why the show is
actually.
good. Based short hair.
I think my favorite part of this anime, and this is gonna sound weird, was all the drama between the characters and their boyfriends and stuff. I'm kind of
Okay, so after a while, I'm just like, just break up with Luke. It's not working.
breaking
they tried
up
4
is hard
times.
to do.
Just break up. I'm done hearing about it, honestly. Like Rachel with her hang-ups, I actually found her to be very interesting.
She's dead. He needs to go on with a living human. That's what she's thinking. She never tells him, but how could she? He's never gonna believe that.
But she also has a lot going on, and he's always like talking like, why aren't you here? Like, where are you going? And like, I get it. It's confusing time. At this point in your undead life, you shouldn't be out with somebody. Like, just figure out your issues and just break up
In
with
your
Luke because I'm
undead
sick
life.
of hearing the issues with him.
In your undead life, yeah.
So essentially, if you haven't seen the show and you're still here, every night these 4 girls who are all as possibly different as could be, from the like elite head of the school to the blue collar girl who has to like look after her younger siblings, to the kind of loner to the preppy, fashionable, popular one. Like they get all bunched together and have to fight off these rabid men, which is obviously very symbolic of these men just going after women and all that stuff. We get it. I love their little ragtag group as they become this like little camaraderie friendship group of people who learn to like talk with each other, and just all the ways that they individually bounce off their situation. And from early on, like how each of these four girls sit in a car when they're traveling tells you so much about them. Or they kind of all go through a same learning arc in each episode. For example, they need to get stronger. So one of them goes home and does push-ups. One of them has, you know, a ton of money, so she buys like a bunch of these ab cruncher things from an infomercial.
Which
one
do
of
nothing.
them like swings the bat and like works on just whopping people in the face. One of them just starts eating more meat. Like they all, within their own skill set, try to improve in their own way. And I love that. The way that you just get that in each episode. There's some like, how do you grow up? And the one girl, you know, starts drinking coffee without sugar in it because that's what her idea of grown up is. And just the way each character individually but cumulatively within their unit grows and evolves is a masterpiece. And that's easily my favorite part of the show. But that's episode after episode after episode where the plot really isn't advancing besides these. And that's, I think, what could make these 22 episodes feel long, especially because everyone else in the show knows what's going on. Everyone knows about the Animus and the Dolore and this whole like backstory. And our characters are like, if someone would tell us, that'd be really convenient. And the show's like, no, we're just going to wait 5 more episodes and then drop it on you because you asked. Like it could make people feel like, come on, just tell them that ignorance is not bliss. We want to know.
They really take their time giving them important information. Like, let's wait until just like to the last minute to tell them like, oh yeah, and if one of you wants to back out, the rest of you die. That you probably should have told them that not when they're about to back out here. Anyway, but you mentioned that like, you know, they're getting fit and they're like trying to improve themselves, and that's all fine and good. Would they just get a weapon? They have to fight able-bodied, all fours men every single night, or every other night, whatever. And they all have to share a bat. There's so many options for weapons in New York City that you could get, that these 4 girls could feasibly. You can get a second bat. You can get all 4 bats. They have money. Why is Claire, the one with no money, coming with the bat? She has a reason not to have a weapon. And yet she's the only one. She's the one carrying this team. Jesus Lord, just that annoyed me. Like, why are they so inept at fighting when this is the first thing you do is get a weapon?
I want to talk about that, but I don't want to get away from. There's something that Mason said that I want to go back to real quick, and that is that the crux of this anime to me is almost a slice of life. It's more about these 4 girls having their lives abruptly interrupted by this event that has nothing to do with them, and yet are allowed to have their lives continue by being, quote, dead while they're not. And it's essentially 1, how they cope with it, and 2, just whatever the fuck they do in their normal life. We got Claire literally spends 2 whole episodes trying to find a part-time job because she has no money and she has to pay her rent. And so she's going on doing all that. Then you've got the problems with Rose, I think it was, and her dad. And that's a big side plot. And you got Rachel and her boyfriend. All these people are just trying to live life while juggling this mess that they've been handed. And to me, it's really a slice of life in a way, and also just like, so it's very much a very human anime. Like, you're just watching 4 humans be human, and while having to juggle this burden that's been given to them that has nothing to do with them at all. So to me, this anime is actually like closer to a slice of life than I think most people would probably think. But
yeah, I would agree. It's the stress of relationships, life, and just this very wild-ass anime predicament that they're going through.
And I think that it did have pacing problems, but I think the reason why it seems like that is because that that stuff in the middle is really the bulk of what the show is, and that's why they
I
don't.
did feel it pick up in the middle there.
And they didn't really like get. They do give you this the story of the conflict and all that, but it's almost like a side story in a way compared to everything else that's happening, because it's not really about all that. It's about the girls and like their lives and how they deal with it. So, but yeah, they do need weapons. I definitely would have brought some like guns. Maybe.
Yeah, the fact that nobody in this anime has a gun is insane. Like, it might be just because Japan doesn't think that anywhere else has guns, because they don't. But if this was actually happening in America, that two families have been fighting off for centuries, and their whole goal in life is to destroy one another, they would have the AK-47s. They just would.
In a sense, though, like, they are kind of superhuman, so they don't really... I mean... Let's see. If they showed up with a gun, they'd probably get arrested immediately.
It felt like a show that, looking at super close, like, oh, wouldn't it be better and logical if they did this, does not serve the show well. Like, you kind of just have to roll with the fact that, like, yeah, so they got captured and killed, but then they got saved, and the organization that saved them said, okay, now you got to fight for us, because what else are you going to do? But also, if one of you don't fight for us, you're all punished, because... But we also have people who know, but they don't fight anymore. Like, just kind of let them go, let them be, let them...
No, I can't do that.
Students.
Mason, do you know
you're not
who
wrong,
I am?
Caroline. You're not wrong.
There was something that... Oh, yeah, and so you were saying that, like, oh, the guns would draw too much attention. They literally blew up the bridge to Roosevelt Island. And the fact that police were not crawling on that island within minutes is absolutely insane. Like, a whole night passes,
that was
and
at
it's
the end,
super
though.
calm. The bridge is out! That is terrorist stuff.
Wasn't it like
This was after 9/11. They were on red alert with all this stuff. If the bridge blew up, they would be there.
Well, they were there, sort of.
The whole inclusion of the police
they
officers is just to show, like, oh, even organized, like, criminal justice, like, has no power here. Like,
well, yeah, because they're using common methods and techniques and what they know of the world to try to figure this out, and what they're dealing with is obviously supernatural. So, you know.
Yeah, and to a point, I found that interesting with, like, the detectives trying to figure out what's happening, even like investigating the girls, and even the girls don't really know what's happening themselves. But then they killed them, and then they kind of just didn't do anything else with it. They just had the police acting like fools on a broken bridge when instead of, like, I don't know, boarding a boat to see what's going on Roosevelt Island.
That police officer needed to be home with his wife. I mean, you work too much, and now you're dead. So sucks to be you. But yeah, he's out at like 3 a.m. Chasing girls that are like wading through like the river. He's, bro, go home and eat some home cooking and like watch Netflix. Like, and now you're dead. So sucks to be you. Oh my god. Yeah, where's my fucking drop? There you go. Yeah.
Except he doesn't come back. Except maybe he does OVA. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Caroline
what else, Caroline?
Caroline's got a lot of nitpicks.
Oh, I do, but we'll get to those not even right now. But I do like Lula and JC. I thought they were pretty cool. Like, they were kind of like secret badasses, and you didn't know anything about them, but they were actually, you know, I liked their relationship. And when JC died, I actually was pretty sad about it, because Lula was, you know, she dropped like a facade that she always had. So yeah, overall, like those two, I kind of liked. And I mentioned in spoiler free that Hervé was pretty interesting to me, because I didn't really feel like he was ultra evil until they made him insane by the end. At first, I thought he was a pretty decent enemy with, you know, the justifiable motivations, because, you know, he loves his sister. He's going to do anything he can for her, and, you know, and his cousin too. And it is kind of ridiculous that his own family, who promised to help them, are completely abandoning them. So
yeah, I think that's a good point. I agree. I think Hervé, like, you see where he started from and where he got to, and it makes sense, and you feel his like frustration of just like, why aren't you helping? You have the resources, just help everyone. Like, come on, and you just feel for the guy. But
I can't help. But whenever I see him, I can't help but think about when his mom died. And I put this on the Discord because it was like a full minute. I'm going, Mama, Mama, Mama. Constant. And it goes back to the whole fact that, like, everybody in this show says everybody's name constantly. And if you're wondering how we all remember these characters so clearly, it's because they say their names constantly.
Helps that it's also English names for us.
Yeah, but even so, like, and that mama scene it had me, oh my, I was like, what am I watching? Like, is this supposed to be a comedy when she's literally dying in front of our eyes?
Yeah. I don't know. I think most of the characters felt real well. Even someone's who, like, kind of irritate you, like Rose, because she's not fighting, she's useless, she's strange, she's a bother for everyone. Like, yes, everyone acknowledges that. Rose acknowledges it, and they, like, address it. Like, I think everyone serves their place well. I just, I mean, I loved all of them. I mean, even, like, Claire's brother, this Randy guy or whatever, who gets not much screen time at all. Like, his story of, trying to follow the role of his father, tries his best, like, kind of fails, but, like, gets back up on his feet, and his whole, like, story is so brief, but it's still touching and compassionate. And you get, like, the scene of a flashback of their family on a trip, and he has, like, brown hair, and he has, like, blonde hair in the modern day, and you're like, oh, why did he dye it? But then the flashback, you see his mom, which is out of the picture, she died, like, had blonde hair, so maybe he dyed his hair blonde to match his mother's. Like, small touches like that really bring a whole character that doesn't have much time to life, and I think the show did that across the board really well.
Going back to what Mitsugi said about, like, the voice acting not really lining up with the animation, I think that's just, like, all around the Folly was just not good. Like, all the footsteps sounded like they had high heels on. Like, everybody in the show, like, even the large groups of men were like click clack click clack click clack click click, and whatever. But there's that, and it's not timed correctly. Like, when Rachel sees that infomercial about the ab cruncher, and she goes to pick up her phone to order it, and even as she hasn't even reached her phone yet, she's still going and reaching for it when the dialing starts, like, to call them. So there's that. Okay, and when Anna dies, the weird squishy wet noises, it's just gross, for one thing. And you also hear, like, a little popping noise, like a little pop. I'm trying to make the sound, but I can't. And this is when Hervé is holding Anna. I'm, like, wondering, where is the squishy noising coming from? He's just, like, holding her. And did he kill her? Like, was that noise, like, him, like, they sometimes kill people by, like, punching their stomachs and, like, ripping out their guts and that kind of thing. Was that what he was doing? Because when they both fall to the ground, there's no wound on Anna. So I don't even know if he killed her, why she's dead.
I think he hugged her to death.
And that would make a squishy noise?
All I know is if you go to Crunchyroll.com and look up Red Garden, the cover image is, like, the final scene of Hervé, like,
serious?
Yeah, well, I'll send you a link, but it's it spoils like, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. But the Red Garden thing is just like, yep, the final moments of Hervé, like, holding his mutated sister who's, like, crying out in bloody pain, and the girl's, like, ascending into, like, everlasting eternity. That's not a great choice, but what else?
Oh wow, you're right. That is a bad. That's not a right choice.
Bad choice.
Yeah.
What other nitpicks you got?
Oh, I got plenty.
This is what we're here for.
How is Claire a student at this school when she has no money and she barely goes to class?
If I have to hear "You're a member of Grace" one more time, I will literally lose my fucking shit.
You're a member of Grace.
Oh my God, Grace.
Miss Grace.
Well,
by the way,
that's Kate, and that's kind of justified by the fact that, like, Paula, like, takes the brunt of everything, and you're like, why? Yeah. And it turns out Paula just knows. Paula knows, and she has a
massive crush on Kate, which I appreciate. I mean, it's a little obsessive, not gonna lie, but the fact that they actually have her outright say, like, "I love you," is kind of crazy for a 2006 anime.
I think it's part of the kind of assault of, like, okay, we have these ravenous men going after these guys. You have these organizations going after these girls. You have these other elite women like Paula going after these girls. You have their own protectors like Lula and JC kind of being like like not giving them information and then like being like, oh, which one would you take? And he's like, oh, I like Claire. It's like everyone's just kind of like predatorily attacking these girls, and it's kind of gross. But yeah, I don't know how Claire is still a student. I guess her father probably just paid the enrollment in full one day, and that's how she can make do.
I guess. Why do they lose their memories after the curse is broken? Like, why is that a very specific and strange rule? Like, we have all these crazy things happening, and you can bring back people from the dead, but if you undo this specific curse, you lose your memories, and yet you still retain your immortal bodies? That's just a very... I just don't get that. It just doesn't make any sense. A lot of things don't make sense. Let's see. Some of these other things I've already mentioned. So characters often in the show should already know certain things, but then they act surprised when they're mentioned. Like, Kate found out that Paula was involved in all this, and you know for a fact that she would have been like, oh my god, guys, guess what? The whole school is an organization that all knows about, like, they're the organization we are working for, and guess what? Paula's involved too. She would have definitely told him about that, and yet she just mentions offhand, oh yeah, Paula gave us these notes so that when all this is over, we'll meet up with certain people. And they're like, wait a minute, Paula's involved in this? I'm like, yes, you didn't know? I thought everybody knew. So there's that. They find out Lise was alive at the headquarters, and Lula told them that Lise was kidnapped to be used for, procreation and all that. They knew that. Why would they think she was not at the headquarters alive at that moment? Kate figures out how to jump really high. Cool.
Oh, that scene of Rose just eating shit as she just jumps up a building over and over and fails was very funny.
Yeah, but and she eventually figures it out, and I'm expecting her to like kind of tell us somehow how she figured out how to jump, because it seemed like there had to be a very specific thing she had to do in order for it to work. But then she doesn't explain that, and suddenly now everybody knows how to do it.
So my theory at first was Rachel was in a relationship and she was confident in herself, and like she's the first person to like jump and flee up and away. And then Kate kind of gets this power when she starts dating Hervé. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's about the literal power of confidence through effort or relationships is how they grow. But it doesn't, then they all just start jumping around. And maybe you could argue, oh, it's because Rose and Claire, in a sense, found solidarity with their fathers, and Kate grew to accept. Like, you could argue it's a symbolic nature of their growth in one way or another, but it just felt like, oh, no, they can jump.
That's a good theory,
but it doesn't work.
It's not displayed. They didn't make that clear enough. If that is true, it just sounds more like a fan theory. But I thought it was actually, for Rachel, like, at first she did it. And I thought it was just out of like desperation. And, when you're desperate, you end up doing the exact thing that you need to do in the moment. And then in other times, it was more as a form of surprise. Like Kate was surprised that I think Rose was standing there, like, oh, Rose. And then she jumped.
Her.
Yeah. So I thought it had something to do with unlocking that, like a sense of surprise or something like that. But yeah, we don't know. I thought this was extremely prevalent when they're getting Kate back from, is it from the Doral? Is that the name of their group?
Yep.
Doral.
Good enough.
People just appear in rooms with no thought of like how they got there. Like in this whole sequence, they just appear. Like they don't like all of a sudden the doctor's in the room and he's not and Hervé is choking him out, but the doctor wasn't there before. Where was he? And same thing, like, just it happened a lot in that scene and it just bothered me. Like,
you guys noticed shit.
Like, there's no flow to this.
The ending couple episodes, just things were accelerated. Like, the detective knew where to follow Lise because he just looked out his car window and saw her driving by. It was a lot of just convenience.
In the dark. You're not seeing anybody through a window in the dark, and you're gonna see a girl with brown hair and bangs. It might as well be me. You're not gonna think, oh my god, it's the dead girl. That should not be here. It was New York
City. Yeah, it was like Dolore? Dolore? I don't know quite how they pronounced
Dolore.
it. But, yeah,
it's Dolore
like
in
that.
English.
Okay.
Come on, get with the program.
It was just an odd show that I think most of the risk paid off for the best. but definitely had a lot of shortfalls and hiccups throughout its runtime. No doubt about it.
I love how I'm just like taking off all like I was so restrained earlier, but I'm like, let's go. More. I don't know anything about these families. I know you guys were saying that it's not about the families, it's about like the girls and their trials during this really crazy thing. And you could say that it's all about, symbolism, and I get that. But if they're going to put these girls through this, then they got to be a little smarter about it, because I don't know shit about these families. And honestly, I don't care about them just because of that. I don't care about
they're terrible people.
Yeah, it's a stupid centuries-old squabble that could be resolved by simple diplomacy. Each of them have a problem that could be, fixed if they just put the books together. Why don't they just put the fucking books together and be done with this whole mess, instead of incorporating and destroying the lives of innocent people who have they have no part of this whatsoever? And it's just a stupid thing that I'm like, I don't care about this.
I mean, I don't know that. So I could have missed this, but I don't recall them ever explaining the backstory of the conflict. It was mostly just,
exactly.
So for all we know, it's beyond irreconcilable differences. Like it could be like, Hatfields and McCoys, or whatever the fuck their family names are, the Capuets and the whatever the fuck from Romeo and Juliet. Like it could be well beyond reconciling. I know what you're saying. I'm just saying it could be that like someone murdered like some other family's like, precious three daughters or something, like in cold blood. Like you're never coming back from that.
Sure. If this was like a squabble that lasted 20 years, I could see that. This is over 100 years old, possibly even longer. Like nobody cares about what started it anymore. So why don't they just be done?
Yeah, I get Caroline's point that from an outside observer, it seems like a lot of this could have just been avoided or prevented. But without that conflict, you don't have the story. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and this could, and honestly, if the point was like these girls are totally innocent and both sides are wrong, that would make sense to me. But they're very firmly on Animus's side, even though they're just as bad as the Doral. I don't know.
Dolores. I think the show made both sides kind of bad.
Very much
but
so.
they're siding with the Animus. Like they are like, you're a horrible person. Like and there's, I get it. They kind of have they have some. They're being held against their will. It's just they're acting. By the end of it, I thought that they were on Animus' side all the way, and they acted like, Hervé was a complete scum of the earth for actually caring about his sister. Anyway. Why was Lisa suddenly not a beast anymore? Like, she turned into a beast. I get that.
The love of her brother.
Lisa doesn't have a brother.
Oh, I'm thinking the wrong girl.
You're thinking of Anna.
Anna, who turned back into a human too right before she died?
Yeah, just so she could be, I'm sad.
I thought that's what we were talking about.
I just want to know how Lisa was friends with these 4 very different girls.
Yeah.
She was
and
just
for
connected.
all these girls who have never really met
They're
before,
all in Grace.
How much? They're not all in Grace.
Everybody's a member of Grace. I'm a member of Grace. You're a member of Grace. Mason's a member of Grace.
Hell yeah.
Mako, where are you?
So that just didn't
Where's
really
my fucking cat? You're a member of Grace.
You're supposed to die a beast. Why is she suddenly not one? And why did she die? It seemed like she was in the same situation as the 4 of them. And finally, in my list of nitpicks, why was nobody guarding the very important book on Roosevelt Island? Like, they were all there to fight, but nobody stood guard with, like, as a last defense. Nobody was there. Really? I rest my peace.
All right, let's score it.
Caroline, you want to go first?
Okay.
After hot off the press
Jeez
with all
Louise.
those takes?
With how much complaining I've done, because there's just a lot of plot holes in this that I could not look past. It's actually not a 0. It's not
a 0.
1. It's better than some other shows I've seen. I think the main thing is that it was too core, and it left a lot of room for me to pick on it. The characters were pretty okay. They were definitely a decent part of the show. And especially when Mitsugi makes the case that it's actually a fair amount of a slice of life, and that's a very important thing for the characters to be good in your slice of life. There were some interesting concepts, like if they explained it better, I think I would have gotten behind the whole families, wanting to destroy each other, and these girls are getting caught up in the mix, and how it, messes up their interpersonal lives and all that. So there was some good stuff in this show, but it was a bit of a pain for me to get through, for multiple reasons that I've already explained. So with that, I think I'll have to give this show 2 lemons out of 5.
Toasty!
Nice. Mitz?
All I can say is thank God for dubs, because when all your KPIs are green and your boss stops caring about you, it leaves a lot of time to just do whatever the fuck you want at work. So I blew through this fast. I mean, I literally I blew through this in 3 days, and in between meetings and whatnot. And I didn't hate it. I thought it was weird. Pretty weird. It's a lot. See, it's just like anime nowadays is so just cookie cutter. Like there's so much cookie cutter, just like, it's all the same shit. I've seen the same anime 40 times in the last 2 years because mostly they're the same, and this anime is not. It's a little weird. It's unexpected. People that watch mostly old and new anime, then they go back and they watch this old anime, they'll say like, what the fuck? Like this is some like Serial Experiments Lane, Techno Lies, bizarre ass like, early 2000s shit. And I appreciate it for that. And was it perfect? No. Did the plot make a lot of sense? At the core of it, the plot is quite simple. Didn't need 2 cores. That was probably the biggest problem. But in the end, I didn't hate it. So I'm gonna give it. 3 Crimson Butterflies out of 5. Dekozaru.
Hearing what
Like
Caroline
reference
said,
too.
I highly recommend, Caroline, you not check out the OVA. I think.
Oh, come on, it was
would
great.
frustrate you to no end. It's
Dead Girls? Come on. Come on.
she would despise it. So
Mason.
yeah. Overall, I enjoyed the characters, the presentation, how the show started, and how it stuck to its guns throughout most of the way. It's not for everyone. Definitely floundered with the voice acting at times, particularly with the singing segments, and kind of how the mystery went on to unfold. But at its core, like I said, the characters were the nucleus of the show, what it was trying to represent, I think symbolically. The metaphors with how we saw them bounce off and grow was something that was really engaging and was enough to carry it to mostly be entertaining across that runtime. So I'm with Mitz. I'm going to give it 3 Broadway musical segments out of 5.
howdy.
Wow.
I think it did more things right than it failed, but it was a show, and I'm glad we experienced it. I'm just glad it wasn't called Blue Garden, because we have too many blue titled shows. So
That's so true.
Yeah. Oh, well, can you talk about the OVA for a second? Like what happens?
yeah,
in
so the OVA is 45 minutes. It's called Red Girls, and it takes place centuries into the future. They're back in New York City. We're talking flying cars. We're talking hoverboards. We're talking floating screens, like future stuff. And essentially, our main cast, the 4 girls, are still eternally 17. They've become notorious vigilantes, and they fight like street thugs and giant robots. They
Still
have
with
this.
the dance?
No, kind of. They learn to use more of their supernatural, like jumping around, kicking, fighting, punching power that we saw kind of at the end of the series with the, like JC and Lula and all that stuff. Anyway, so they also sing probably one of the most obnoxious theme songs.
Oh, they do
when
it
they
in
make
that.
their entrance, but they sing it like the characters are singing it. It's not like a musical soundtrack. So the characters are going, like they're doing this whole song and dance as they make their entrance, and they're like, "This is a bad song. Can we do something else?" But they still do it anyway. So in like 300 years into the future, they are still meeting and encountering the same characters from the show. Like the same detectives are there, the same people are there, even though those aren't the ageless ones. And I don't know if they're just supposed to be like the cycle continues, so like the exact same people show up. Like Hervé is there, but he's not Hervé. Lise is there, but she's not Lise. Like it's like they just reused character designs. I don't know why they did that. So when they kind of forgot their memories at the end of the series, Paula gave them these cards of like family contact info and pictures and things that they could build their life back together. They completely forgot about that. They're just like, oh my goodness, we gotta find, and we just roam from place to place every couple of years trying to learn the mystery of our past.
I'm not entirely sure how they would get their life back together, considering they'll be eternally 17.
Yeah, but they could at least find out what happened. They don't. They're just clueless.
Man.
Essentially, the big thing is someone's like, oh, Roosevelt Island, which is still covered in flowers. They're like, oh, it might hold the secrets. Yep. They go there and the big robot shows up and they can't really fight it. So they go back to their mega pad and Rachel just makes a mecha. All these characters that were so well established in the series just feel thrown away and neglected. And yeah, you could probably over a couple centuries, your personality and interests would change. I get that. But also these characters feel like almost nothing like when we last saw them. So yeah, Rachel just builds a massive mecha, and then they go and they punch the robot and they win. And they're like, man, that sure was fun. We didn't get our answers. I wonder what'll happen next. On to the next place. Let's go to Egypt.
Do they still have the same fashion sense as they do in this?
No, they make some quips because they essentially talk about preying on, or not preying, but like, oh, who of the four of us is going to be the first to get with this hot young transfer student? Of course, he's 17 and they're 317. Regardless. And someone will be doing their makeup and they're like, oh, that makeup was so last century. And it just all looks the same anyway. And Kate is out here just fucking having sex with people, kind of, sort of. Like it's just weird. It's just different. And yeah, they went for it, but man, oh man, I feel like it kind of let me down. So I appreciate that no one got kind of a happy ending. But
at first I thought that kind of sounded interesting, that these four girls now 300 years in the future are now having to defeat.
Nope, they're having
that's kind of cool. Schoolers. But that sounds silly too.
But I mean, who else are they going to have sex with, I guess? I don't like
one more thing that I kind of forgot about until now. They make mention a couple of times that, the four of them are like, they're special. Like they're doing much better than all the other girls. Meanwhile, they're like crawling up in a little ball in fetal position, and Claire's doing all the work with her single bat, and I'm not sure what they're talking about. Like, how are these girls any better than anything else you've ever had? They're pretty mediocre at best. That's one thing.
I don't want to interrupt you guys, but if we don't wrap this up,
yeah, I know,
I'm going to die, literally. We're 30 minutes over.
Thank you all for listening to episode 704 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. It was a long one. It was a doozy. Hopefully we didn't talk your ear off. Hopefully you stick around next week for a review of Undead Girl Murder Farce.
I have no idea what it's about, but I'm interested.
It'll be another wild ride. Thank you all who support us on aapodcast.com for all the bonus content. Follow us on our socials. Give us a review, and we love you, and we will see you next week. Have a good one.
Toodles.
Undead Girl Murder Farce could have been the other name of Red Garden, I have to say. But
it really could
have been.
See you later.
Bye.